Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to you all to this current webinar in association with SolarEdge. My name's Ben Willis. I'm the editor of PV Tech, the sister publication of Current. Today we're going to examine the SolarEdge CSS-OD, a new solution designed to help businesses in Europe and the UK take full advantage of the huge opportunities presented by energy storage. In recent years, variable energy market dynamics and a wide range of economic factors have created significant complexities for businesses. Increasing energy costs, evolving dynamic tariffs, rising demand charges, and grid instability are just a few of the many challenges companies have had to navigate in the increasingly unpredictable energy landscape. Self-generation and consumption of electricity from distributed energy sources such as PV has long been recognized as a powerful way for businesses to decouple themselves from the energy market roller coaster. The advent of energy storage enables companies to go even further in unlocking the potential of renewables and increasing their control over how they produce and consume electricity. But choosing the right battery for commercial and industrial applications throws up a range of new considerations for businesses, from vendor dependability to safety and cybersecurity protection. In this webinar, we're going to learn more about the SolarEdge CSS-OD and how it is an ideal choice for businesses looking to maximize self-consumption of solar energy, reduce peak demand charges, and ensure energy resilience. We'll hear how the CSS-OD supports a broad range of use cases, making it a valuable asset for any organization looking to enhance its energy management flexibility. Our guide through today's deep dive into the CSS-OD is Paul Meehan, Commercial Sales Manager at SolarEdge. In a moment, I'll hand over to Paul, but before I do, a quick reminder to all our audience today to please send in any questions you may have for Paul using the questions tab at the bottom of your screen. After Paul has spoken, we'll have time for a short Q&A session. And this interactive element of today's webinar is a great opportunity for you to tease out further details about our topic today. But for now, I'd like to hand over to Paul. Paul, the floor is yours.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed for that, Ben. A very comprehensive introduction, and I certainly hope I'll be able to live up to it to some degree at least. As Ben mentioned, I'll be going through the SolarEdge CSS-OD battery storage system as it is here, and introducing you both to the system and of course to the key benefits that it brings for your solar requirements, but just as your storage requirements. But as a little bit of housekeeping, just to introduce myself. I've been in the solar business, I suppose, solar and storage now, I suppose we refer to them together as one in many ways, since the Big Bang, as it were, in 2010. And I've had the pleasure of working with SolarEdge now for 15 months. I've worked predominantly in the commercial and utility scale of the business, and to show as well there's a little bit of life outside solar and storage as it is there. What we're going to talk about this afternoon with you is, as the agenda outlined here, a product overview, just give you a little look at CSS-OD, AC coupling, why the AC coupling and what are the particular aspects of AC coupling we should look at. And then we'll go into really the meat of the presentation, which will be looking at the software suite, safety. Of course, for those of you who've been kind enough to use SolarEdge previously, you know that safety and all aspects of safety are very much key to us as a company and have been a part of our drive to make the solar industry as safe as possible, of course, and of course we extend this into the storage side of the business. And then installation considerations, and I'll just go through a few slides showing about some of the thoughts that you may have, things you certainly need to think about when it comes to installing the CSS-OD for yourselves or for your customers. And importantly, on the right-hand side, just to let you know, we're not talking about a pie-in-the-sky product here. We're talking about the product is here. It's ready. It's in the UK. We should be beginning the installations of 20-plus systems by the end of March. And as you can see here, and this is an idea exactly for you how they would arrive to you. This is kind of from our wholesalers, in this case CCL, who have units ready and waiting for you and for your projects. Lovely. Okay, so I suppose to start the presentation, I suppose you should start with at least a bold statement, as it were. Because Ben has outlined why the need for storage. I say storage holds the key to unlocking the full potential of renewables while overcoming the challenging energy market dynamics. And that's really what we're doing with storage. Renewables is obviously key. We can see it in the energy mix to meet our net zero obligations, and those obligations are there no matter how much the momentary changes will be due to different governments and different attitudes. But we all know that is the direction of travel that we're going. But to actually get the best possible systems in place to meet this, storage is key, and that we believe the CSS-OD will add a valuable tool for you and for your clients to meet the obligations. Okay, now so the puzzle is complete. I suppose is a nice way of saying this is more to introduce you to the SolarEdge and how we've added it to our portfolio, if you may consider it to be an energy ecosystem that we have here. Hopefully, many of you will be familiar on our solar side, of course, with our optimizers and inverters, as you see here. And then we have now, once you have the solar system, what you want to do is you want to be able to store the energy from that. But of course, it'll be more than storing energy. It'll be managing the energy is the key part. And the management side comes from the aspects on top, which are the SolarEdge One, on the CNI portal, and then SolarEdge One controller on top there. And then on the bottom line, so that we extend and expand the system. So for those who are looking at utility scale projects, again, they're perfectly applicable as well if there's a certain level of storage that may be needed on those, or certainly on the commercial side to the scale that we'll talk about today. Okay. Lovely. So let's introduce you to our friend here, and this is our CSS-OD. This is a single cabinet unit, as you see here. It's AC coupled, which of course is important to mention, and we'll talk about that more in a little detail. It's 102.4 kilowatt hours, separated into two clusters. It can be installed both outdoor and indoor, but of course there'll be considerations that you'll have to confront in relation to the selection of where you'll put it, i.e. proximity, environmental considerations. With indoor, of course, you'll have to discuss that with the insurance and can see how acceptable that will be for the insurance companies and when deciding where you'll actually install the system. It comes, as it is seen then and shown in the initial photograph I showed you, it comes fully pre-assembled, so it's very much for fast deployment and reducing installation errors. We basically do all the heavy lifting, with the exception of the real heavy lifting, which is the 1.5 tons that the cabinet represents, and that we leave up to you in terms of the installation. Advanced safety. We will be looking at that particularly now within this presentation, because we want to show you exactly what we have done to make sure that if wherever possible, all safety precautions are taken as it is there. Also, for the management and control of the environmental conditions, it's a fully built-in HVAC system as is there. In the labels there you see beside it, we have G100, it's fully approved, G99, and that is pending, and we would expect to have that now by the end of March. So we're doing the full submission, and we're just waiting for that to be confirmed and to be clarified. But that's all. The process is in place, and we will expect to have this done certainly before the end of the first quarter of this year. Lovely. Now, Ben did outline some of the challenges that you'll be looking at when you think about a solar system, and I just want to re-emphasize what we bring to this as SolarEdge. SolarEdge itself is a dependable vendor. It's a single vendor as well that you'll be looking at. Long-term product and performance warranties that we're providing with the systems as well. You get 10 years on the CSS-OD and our 6,000 cycles as it is there. We are trustworthy, bankable. We've been in this industry a long time, and we're by far and away the largest non-Chinese manufacturer of inverters, and we're extending this now into our battery and our storage capacities is there. And for those of you in the UK, which I believe will be most of you, we obviously have a strong UK presence. We've been here since 2011 supporting the UK solar industry, and we continue to do so. And you know that you'll have the backup and support of SolarEdge, which gives you that greater confidence in recommending to your clients. We provide full planning tools as well through our designer, which will allow you then to generate the simulations to demonstrate to your customers exactly what the addition of batteries to their system will achieve. And an energy management platform for optimizing value tailored to local needs. And I'll talk about that and how we're talking about controlling and utilizing the energy to the best ability. Installability, which is a bit of a mouthful as a word, installability, if it exists, but really we're just saying that it is coming to you. You don't have to build it on site. You don't have to load the cells into it is going to come to you fully built, fully there, and all you'll be doing is the addition and the connecting of the cabling for the system there. Safety and cyber security protection. Safety, as I mentioned, has always been our watchword. Cyber security, and again, you don't have to wander far into looking and investigating the needs and requirements for the energy at the moment to bump into the needs for cyber security and protection. And of course, as a company, SolarEdge, with the long tradition we have in software development and data communication, that is a big part of what we do, the cyber security. And it's a subject which can be relatively dry at times, but we're more than happy to go into more detail with you if you wish to do so. I'll be having my contact details at the end, and you can contact us directly on that. Lovely. Just to go through the AC coupling, and this actually, before we bump into the limitations on this presentation, it's on a PDF. We spend our weekends doing animation on our slides, but alas, it won't be displayed here. But hopefully, you can work with me as I explain what we're showing here. And this really just shows that you have a solar system here on site. You have a particular load, and then you have the battery as it is there. And the battery's the amount of a system, 100 kilowatts being generated by solar, 90 kilowatts on a load, 10 kilowatts then goes into your battery, and you avoid any export to grids as it is there. The other example here would be that the 80 kilograms of the solar is given you, but you still have a 90 kilowatt load. But what you can do then is discharge from the battery system to 10 kilowatts. In fact, you can discharge up to the PCS on the system, of course, is 50 kilowatts. The other area, and one that is really all about helping you and your clients future-proofing, is the ability then to charge also from the grid itself. So this will be a nighttime scenario you might consider, where there's still a 90 kilowatt load. Obviously, there's no PV being produced, but what you've done is you're going to take the power that you stored during the day, in this case, the 50 kilowatts, the maximum discharge rate you can get from the system, to make up and add to the beg your pardon, you can get this 90 kilowatts taken from the grid, but the extra 50 kilowatts at night time you will use here in this particular case to charge up the batteries, maybe for peak shaving, either first thing in the morning if that's when the red zone charging. It's all about the more dynamic tariffs that we're going to see more and more in the commercial environment. Some probably mirroring what we're seeing now in the residential environment. Lovely. Okay. And just to show the building blocks, because it's not just the single cabinet, the single unit that you see here, which is the one cabinet, 102 kilowatts, the PCS that along the side there, which is the inverter for the system. And on the right, then you have the all-important one controller for CNI. And that really, I'll talk about that more in considerably more detail, because that really is the brains of the system. I would always say to you, when you look at batteries, again, you can do a search and you can find batteries from many sources and from many companies, and probably of many chemistries and types. But what you really want to do is to focus on who's giving you the ability to control the energy, to utilize the energy that you're actually storing away. Anybody can store electrons, but it's the intelligent use of those stored electrons that will make the difference on whether a system does make sense for you and for your customers. And that really has been all driven by the one controller. And I'll detail some more of its capabilities further on in this presentation. But if you do go for larger systems, and then you add in on here, this is just an example of a 250 kilowatt battery system. As it is here, again, you use the same charger as you have there. And in this case, actually, it's a 1,228 kilowatt, so it's a full 10 system, for example, with five PCSs. So you'd have one inverter, and you can have two cabinets of the batteries connected to the one, and that would give you, in effect, two of them a 4-hour battery. But this is in this case, a 250 kilowatt inverter. So it's just 5 of the units as it is there. So you're getting 4 hours from the system at that rate. So that's quite a sizable system as it is there. The limitations we need to check on various on the site as well, to make sure the mix that you do have there, but it's something we can work with, and we can again do it through Designer if you have larger systems. So much so we talk about up to 1 megawatt, but there's no reason why, in consultation with us and working with us, we couldn't help to design for even larger systems as you go along. But the most important thing, or the thing that you look at and focus on possibly here, is how little extra. It's just a cut and paste and the addition. And the one extra component you do have here is that you'll have, of course, is the cables to connect the various systems together, so that they will all be, again, managed by the single one controller unit. And that is shown, and which provides the like I say, the brains of the whole process. Lovely. Again, this was will be a slight. If you ever get a chance to meet us and you want to see this in live, this is a very nice little video. But this really shows the monitoring and how we've incorporated the monitoring through the new SolarEdge CNI, which is will be undergoing a complete full rollout in Q2, and we have the battery systems incorporated within that. So monitoring battery performance and health, optimize storage performance, and to meet site whatever the KPIs. Key performance indicators will be on site, manage battery optimization models, including maximum self-consumption and peak shaving. I'll talk about those in terms of design. And this is the in effect the remote control that you will have on the system to allow you to make sure that the battery system is performing well. In essence, actually, with and optimized. Those who've been kind enough to use SolarEdge before know the strength of our monitoring systems and our monitoring portals. And what we have done is we've just added to that. These monitoring in reality sells an awful lot more solar than any of us out there, because once people get used to it, once people use it, they can see the benefits of being able to know exactly what's going on in their system, be it a solar system or a solar and storage system. There is no situation now in these where we say ignorance is bliss. It's not the case. You want to know exactly what's going on. And this is a very nice, actually, this one, if it did run as a little video, would show you the various screens as well that you can set up and display and change, and change the key times for charging, the key times for discharging. You'll get all that control within the remote portal here, but also on the SolarEdge Go, which is the localized remote system, and I'll talk about that a little later on as well. Okay. And here is the SolarEdge One controller, and it just, quite frankly, it definitively deserves its own slide, because it is the brains of the system. It's the on-site hardware that integrates and ensures the communication of the site's energy assets, including energy meters, inverters, EV chargers if you have them on site, and any building loads that are there. Optimize the use of locally generated energy to minimize energy charges. And again, that's all what you'll control and set up via the SolarEdge Go. Interfaces with third-party sensors and platforms. Again, this will be set up so that you can connect both the sensors, but also platforms that may be having different dynamic pricing that will be there, and that will actually be fed in through the system, and you'll make then the intelligent decisions to optimize the use of the power based on the data that's been provided to it. Integrated with SolarEdge environmental sensors and energy meters. Again, you can use our sensors as well. That's if you're using irradiance sensors, parameters, that sort of thing. And of course, meters will be essential for the intelligent management of the power and to control the flow of the energy from both the batteries and from your solar system. Complies with grid regulations to enable safe, reliable electricity generation, and of course. The cybersecurity, although listed last, is critical for here, because this is where the real control is going on. So you want to make sure that you have the maximum protection that you can get, and you'll always see that when it comes to cybersecurity and meeting the UK PST standards, or the European, the IEC ones coming in now in September, we've always been ahead of the game as a company to ensure that we are protecting you and protecting all our customers in the cybersecurity area. Lovely. Battery optimization use cases. Now, this really, I suppose, deals now as well a little bit with the designer. We help you to design the battery system that's most appropriate for you and for your customers, and you can do that. And any design support that you do want, please, again, don't hesitate to contact us. We have Andrea, who's our design engineer, and he can support as well on this side of the business. But so that you can take a solar system that you have at the moment, and if you want to add, you'll add in the appropriate batteries for there. At the moment, we're doing it just on the maximum self-consumption. So in effect, that really is somewhat limited, but that really just shows what you'll have in terms of excess from the solar system into battery storage, and then used as and when required based on the loads on that site. But the important thing, and the future proofing that we'll be looking on the system, is to be looking at the peak shaving, grid augmentation, but also a time of use. So use kilowatt meter readings, charging the battery to time peak loads. So again, it's when your DNO decides that they will give you preferential tariffs based on you altering and regulating the time of use for your maximum energy. So those sort of red price zones that you would be looking at. And again, that will all be done, and we'll be putting this into our designer as well, and we'll expect this to be fully up and running by Q2, and also then within the actual software package as the SolarEdge One for CNI by early Q3. A lot of this, actually, if any of you are going to Intersolar, which is always the big trade show in Germany, a lot of these developments are always planned then to be rolled out at that point in time to get a bit of razzmatazz about them. So you can look out for that, and that's in early May, actually, which is 7th to 9th of May. And if any of you are going over, please do let us know, and we can arrange. Maybe you get the first look at the developments of these software packages as they come out then. And then tariff optimization, respond to fixed electricity market prices. And that's what I mentioned to you in relation to the SolarEdge controller, and how it'll take third-party details and data in, and you can use that to control the management of the energy that you have within the battery systems. Now, if we look in the safety components, like I say, it is always been a great watchword for SolarEdge. Yes, it should be for everybody, but I think we've made it key to everything we've brought to the industry, particularly in the solar side with our safe DC, bringing the voltage down to 1 volt per optimizer, and also our Sense Connect, monitoring the temperature of all the connectors that you have connected to our S range of optimizers. That sort of philosophy now is being utilized and for the battery storage systems that we have there. So battery cabinet, safety features, battery inverter has all the monitoring features that you'd expect as well, and the solar inverters, and the software and applications is the way of monitoring and monitoring the system, but also warning you and of course and taking any appropriate action that's needed to make any situation as safe as possible if there is a safety concern on site. And if we look at what we say here, so we just call them the 3 main pillars of the safety protection. It says incorporates three safety to ensure secure, stable, and efficient energy storage system designed to withstand both internal and external safety risks. So there you go. It's much better than I can say it, but it's all written there for you. And just to let you know as well, if there comes a time, if you are interested in this presentation and you would like to get copies, please, my details are at the end. Do drop me an email, and I'm more than happy then to share with you. And if there's any explanation as well or any clarifications in some areas, I'm more than happy to go through it with you. But thermal runaway prevention designed to ensure that targeted protection against rising temperatures prevents overheating and potential fire hazards. And of course, that's always thermal runaway is something we hear about a lot. But with our systems now, talk about how that's been down to the cell level, how we protect it to prevent the thermal runaways we have there. Electrical protection with the appropriate level of MCBs and SPDs on the system, so surge protection devices are all there, designed to ensure safe electrical operation and prevents overcurrent conditions. And the enclosure protection, of course, it is all within the actual cabinet as well. So the cabinet as well is a key protective, but particularly in terms of the environmental conditions in which you'll actually place the CSS-OD for your clients. Okay. So if we just have a quick look at the levels then that we have here, our battery protection features are implemented across 4 layers. So you see the top one is the cell and module, and I'll go in and I'll show you a photograph in a moment of the inner parts of the modules with the cells themselves in place. The cluster in these is in effect, when you look at the image here, the cluster is either 2 columns that are either side, and they are completely separate. They have their own DC isolations, as you can see there at the bottom, and they also have their own detection and suppression, which I'll talk about as well. And it also means as well it's useful as well because you can isolate one side if you did have to remove a cells. You can just isolate one part of the system. Completely safely as it is there, and then the cabinet, and then applications and alerts, and that's more again linking and talking about the software that packages that we have that we provide with the system to allow you to control and utilize the energy. So that's the SolarEdge Go as it is there, and the SolarEdge for CNI as well. SolarEdge Go for CNI. And if we look then at the units themselves, and I keep getting my button around, our standout safety features, like I say, is fire suppression. Again, and I suppose it is really to avoid the pun, but the hot subject when it comes to batteries is the suppression. It is making the systems as safe as possible in case of fire, and that is obviously always the primary concern when you ever talk to anybody about batteries and where batteries to be put. And I mentioned about the insurance companies; they'll have a big say on what you'll do in terms of where you can actually position the batteries. But fire suppression designed to ensure targeted protection against rising temperatures, prevent damage to the entire cluster, and mitigate fire risk. And again, we do many things within the actual cells to avoid this. We use a cell passive balancing, for example, which is where we make sure that the cells are charged evenly throughout on a cell, so you don't get those sort of charging hotspots within the actual within the system itself, and that is a very very important method again of ensuring and preventing, I should say, overcharging and overheating on the systems. Also, by doing so, you're actually extending the lifetime. By doing the more even charging of the cells, you're extending the lifetime of the system as well, which again is what all of this is about, really, is making sure that what you get, the batteries you install, will be there for the maximum possible time. Within the system, we do as well fire extinguishers and smoke detectors. And I'll show you those as well, and how they operate both within, like I say, not just within the actual the cells themselves, but also within the actual cabinet as well. The electrical side, and again, there's electrical protection, reverse polarity protection, detect long DC conditions, and stop the installation process. Again, we've taken a lot of that away from you now, so we have all that built into the system. The SPDs, surge protection devices, are there on the DC side, reduce risk of damage to batteries, again, inverters, again, any surge that you may have, that's important that is protected, and these are replaceable items. The SPDs is there, DCA relays and NCCBs that you'll have in the system. A combination of DC relays and DC breakers provides comprehensive safety coverage with DC relay handling immediate issues and DC breakthrough in the system for safety measures. And then the enclosure protection, again, is the next one, is the HVAC system that we have, and I'll give you a little bit of an insight into that as well. And that's really because we don't know what conditions the system is going in, so we try to ensure that the actual cabinet itself can be kept at a standard environmental condition and at appropriate temperatures that will be least stressful for the batteries and get you the most efficient storage that you can have there. And the IP codes and corrosive class levels, this is the class 4 on the paintwork courses, and also where and when where the system can be installed. In terms of the IP, for example, of the unit is of the cabinet itself is IP54. The PCS, the inverter, the unit on the side, that's 65. How you'll do it, they will be mainly installed outside, and that's fine as IP54. But in the main, I would say it's probably in the UK, it's not a bad idea to put some sort of GLP protection, so you don't expose it directly to driving rain, as it is of very, very inclement conditions, if that's likely to be where the installation is. So that's always a good idea. But the IP54 will protect the unit to the IP54 regulations and standards. And if we look then at the individual fire protection that we'd have for the individual drawers of the system, detects overheating and helps to prevent the spread of thermal runaway, the old thermal runaway, throughout the system. And you can see there the lid is taken off the unit. You can see the individual 16 cells that you'll have there. That's a 5.2 kilowatt 5.02, I should say, kilowatt drawer that we have on there. Two advantages: module level suppression isolates the issue to a single energy module, eliminating the need for extensive system replacements, which of course is huge. But the real thing is it's the overall risk, the overall effect, the overall press, I suppose, in many ways. If the cabinet goes up, you want to, if there is a problem, you want it to be localized as possible and dealt with as locally as possible. And that's what the fire suppression within the cells gives you. So it has cells overheating start, temperature sensors picking it up to 180 degrees, and then the aerogel, Novec 1230, is released in 2 seconds. So it's a fairly immediate response to conditions that we perceive to be a danger to the actual to the whole system. So you stop it at source as much as possible, and that's built in to all the drawers that we do have within the actual system there, which you saw in the main thing. Those orange handles basically are what you can pull out each of the drawers as it is there. Okay, but if we look then at the cabinet unit itself, coming up from there, I haven't shown it here, but you do have individual smoke alarms that for detection within the actual cabinet itself, and that's directly linked to an alert system. It can be an audible alert. It can be linked, obviously, will be communicated directly through our monitoring, so that you will actually, so you'll be warned as soon as is possible for that that there is any issues or any concerns within the cabinet itself. But once that's been done as well, what you want to do is see, well, how do we as much as possible stem any effects. And what we do is we have 2 extinguishers, one for each, in effect, for each of the sides of the actual of the CSS-OD. One based in the bottom left, you see, then one up in the top right. Provides rapid response to control and extinguish the fire before it spreads within the cabinet. Dedicated aerosol fire extinguisher for each cluster. And cluster was the word I was looking for, actually. It's funny, these words can leave you all of a sudden, but each side is called a cluster. Then 2 fire extinguishers there. The fire extinguishers are activated with high temperature detected by the thermal sensor line, routed along the cabinet internal frame. So it's actually monitoring for the full internal frame to see if there's any temperature out there. But this obviously is after, if there was localized cell, the localized cell protection would take the immediate action, so that it doesn't extend as far as the activation that we've seen here, and when there's great temperature throughout the actual cabinet. How the system works, even if the battery, and that's important, even if the battery is not turned on, by using the internal independent temperatures in the power supply. So it is constant monitoring. There is no downtime when it comes to monitoring the safety of the system. So even if it's not turned on, the detection systems will be in place to make sure that any appropriate action is taken. Now, and if we look at the HVAC of the system, again, it's the heating and ventilation that you'll have here, and it's looking to keep the system obviously performing at the optimum rate as it is there. High efficiency temperature and humidity management minimizes heat risks, ensuring batteries remain within the safe levels. And again, that's all about enhancing the long-term performance of the system to make sure that they're kept working within the most tolerable conditions. It shows consistent cooling and heating inside the battery cabinet, maintain temperature variance range up to 5 degrees. 2 separate non-mixing air loops, so it is a fully looped system as a mixing of internal and external air as it is there, and display relevant alerts with CSS local interface. There's a local interface on the side of the unit as well, and provides real-time data to the HVAC operation, and that's so you can see if there's any issues or concerns with the operation aspects of the HVAC of the system. That'll be a serviced item that you would have on an ongoing basis. Okay, now, in the final part, and you've been kind enough to hear us out today, but now the next step, of course, is to see if we can work with you and work with you on the installation of the battery systems, the CSS-OD. And so we'd have to look at the installation of the system, and this is obviously a careful area that you should always consider and plan for. To a great degree, and we do actually have some excellent both videos, but also some excellent presentations as well, which will actually go through it in a checklist manner to make sure that you are fully prepared. Because often with these sort of things, you might think you're saving a little money here or there, but often the big cost will be the actual site installation, and if you can do that in a speedy and judicious manner and safe manner, following the instructions given, you'll actually save an awful lot for the installation time of the CSS-OD. So if we just have a look here at the installation location, as you have there are certain restrictions that we have on the locations, of course, just to give you an idea on the environmental side as well. Obviously the restrictions here, they're just showing spacing, and you need the spacing around the system, and obviously sufficient for the front door to open it, but also for enough airflow around the HVAC system. And so following the guidelines as in the table there is absolutely critical. And again, this is all about maintaining your warranty as well. So you'll want to follow these whenever, well, always, in fact, not just whenever possible, but always. also monitor as well where the location of the systems. Again, it can't be too close to very saline conditions, so close to the coast, or even to very humid conditions, so close to large banks of water. And so, again, do discuss with us, and we can have a look at it and see what the localized conditions are so we can advise whether it is or is not appropriate for the installation of the CSS-OD in that location. Allow proper heat dissipation, as it says there. Verify the installation location meets all the firefighter department requirements and insurance requirements as well. I would put in there, make sure that you liaise, or your clients liaise with the insurance companies to make sure that's not going to be something that's going to bite back at them at a later point, as is there. And of course, you'll liaise with the DNOs as well on this, because of course this is an AC linked system, so you will need the to be borne in mind if there's any particular restrictions in terms of grid the connection that you have for the particular site. So you have to be mindful of that. But like I say, it will come full G99 there, but you'll have to be notified your DNO to make sure that there's no issue with the AC battery being added to your solar system. Confirm the placement doesn't interfere with site activities. Of course, that's just a sensible thing. You'll want to keep it out of the way of passing forklifts and delivery trucks and whatnot as you have there. That's another reason why it's useful to put in some sort of GLP as well. And for its quick installation guide for complete list of environmental conditions and requirements, and that's really what I mentioned about the local and near saline conditions or on large banks of water. But like I say, very much open to discussion on that, and we're very happy to hear from you and work with you, and we can do that through the design process as it is there. Right. And just to give you an idea, this would be the just a simple SLD of you'd have of a system in a particular location, and you can see as well just the various component parts that you have there. You have the solar, obviously that's linked, and you have the one controller that we talked about, SolarEdge 1. SolarEdge 1 is our new one, and hopefully anybody who's doing solar has downloaded this onto their mobile. And the SolarEdge 1, it brings together a lot of our standard handheld software, so the setup and the mapping as it is there, but all the installation and everything you can do locally on site will be done through the SolarEdge 1 and programming that through for the controller itself, and then obviously that then has the direct link as well to the Ethernet. And you see there into basically the SolarEdge 1 SolarEdge CNI portal, which is the monitoring portal that I showed you earlier. And then of course you have the range of batteries and PCSs that as well on site is there. And this is what we can assist you with. This is where we can help you get the design done and get the so that you have everything obviously that is required to link the solar storage and both the software but the storage to your existing solar system that you have now, or adding this with the total project where you're installing both the solar and the batteries as we see here. Okay, and if I say to you just to key takeaways as we come now just to the first part here, and I hope there's been a few questions that have come up, so we'll deal with those now in a moment. Happy to do so, and but always the proviso say, well, if I don't know the answer, I'll certainly come back to you with the answer. But these are the key takeaways we'd like you to from here. Again, this really is a start of a 10 presentation. There's an awful lot more detail we can go to, and quite believe you me, there was a lot more slides I had that I would like to have gone through, but it would have just whizzed through, and it wouldn't hopefully have flowed and made as much sense. But the important thing if you is that stock is available to purchase today. So this is not a development project. This is not a development product. This is a product that is here, ready for you now. You can design it through the SolarEdge Designer, and you can go out and you can present to your clients, to your customers, of use on your own project, and you can, with confidence, plan for the installation. Like I say, everything will be in place in terms of the G99. We expect that to be by the end of by the end of March, for all that to be in place. So we have all the projects ready to roll out at this point in time. And in fact, they'll go in within the month of March. So we'll have plenty of systems up and running by the time any of you, hopefully, who haven't got systems already, are planning to put systems up. So you will have plenty of experience there. A modular and expandable solution. Again, it's the primary unit I showed you is 102.4 kilowatts, but you can add to that, and like I say, you can add to it both in terms of the charge and discharge rate by the number of PCS units, each one up to 50 kilowatt hours, and you can add that up to 1 meg. But always remember, if you have projects that are going to go larger than that, or you want the ability to do so, don't hide that project away under a bushel. Do talk to us, and we'll do everything we can to assist in that design. The systems, as shown in the photographs, come fully pre-assembled for fast installation. We get onto there, we get the system installed, we get it in the time you want. All you have to do is have the site prepared, have this either the cement plinth or the plinth, the metal plinth. All that will be shown to you in the installation site, so you can see which is appropriate for that particular site and the height of that. All you have to have that is ready, and then all the cabling, and the unit will come in and be dropped in, and the unit installed and then commissioned by the SolarEdge Go. It's designed for indoor and outdoor locations. It's HVAC, so it can and it's IP54. But obviously, again, just to re-emphasize, your due diligence will mean you'll have to check on the particular locations if there would be possibly any restrictions on using those particular sites. So it would use your best endeavors are, of course, and advice that we can provide as well to ensure that it is in the best possible location. Industry leading safety features, as expected, and I suppose that is true for us for SolarEdge, because it's what we do and it's what we've led on in the industry, and we continue to do so in everything that we bring, because to have longevity in this business, you have to show the products that you're producing are not only perform very well, but are the safest that they can be. As because if one as sure as eggs, standards on safety are only getting tighter and tighter. So the more we are ahead of them, the better it will be for you, and better will be for your clients. And it's put in bold there just to show it's not an idle promise. And SolarEdge will support both design and commission of systems. We really do want to hear from you. We want to work with you. We want to make sure you get the best possible storage and solar system. And we certainly believe that's what we can provide from SolarEdge. Lovely. So my details are there, and I'll hand back to Ben now, and just to see if we have a couple of questions.
Yeah, we've got a few questions. Thanks so much for that. It was very, very comprehensive. So thank you again. Yes, we have some questions indeed. There's a couple I'll wrap together here concerning the battery. One about the cell chemistry of the CSS-OD, and also any details you're able to give on where the battery's made. Is it your own cells or from a supplier such as BYD or CATL or similar? Anything you can say about that?
Well, I can give you the details on the battery chemistry is LFP. In terms of the manufacturing of the actual cells as well, I would be. I'm not actually certain where they are. I believe we buy in the battery cells as well. Where they're actually sourced from, I'd have to check on that. But okay. They'd be most likely be bought in. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
But we sort of integrate and make the whole system much more comprehensive, particularly in the safety side. And so we have added greatly to that as the complete package.
Yeah. Fair enough. And can the CSS-OD be added to an existing SolarEdge PV installation?
Indeed, it can, and again, we'd be very happy to help and support. What you would do in that situation, and you can see my email there, if you have an existing install and you do want to add it in, the best thing you can do is contact us. If you send the URL of the original design that was done for the solar system, and then we can take that and we can upgrade that design by the addition of batteries, and then we can decide to get it in consultation with you how many batteries that you would want on that site, and then we can have a look. Again, we can do the design just at this point in time based on maximum self-consumption, but like I say, that now is being extended, and we will be going into time of use and peak shaving, which will be much more. But if it's for future proofing, you want to just get the design, want to get the batteries on, just contact us and we will add the batteries to your existing design.
Great. And a question here about sort of typical project systems that this the CSS-OD would work with. I mean, can you give us a sense of the sort of typical scale of system? Any maintenance considerations there might be, things like that?
The scale, of course, it's a very modular system, so the scale will really depend on the local needs and the customer themselves and what's required and what's appropriate for the site, how they can best utilize the systems there. We'd probably expect to see the most common would be somewhere between 200 and 300 kilowatts. That's two or three cabinets per site. But obviously, at this point in time, we have done up to 1 meg, and in Europe they've gone beyond that as well. As it is there, and that would be but I would say in the UK we'll probably look at the sort of the two, maybe because two or three cabinets on the side, and there will be a lot will be just one, to be honest, but the 2 or 3 cabinets is probably going to be a sweet spot, as it were. But because it's so modular, you can actually there's no reason you shouldn't go on beyond that. In terms of the servicing, there would be the servicing as well you'd do on the HVAC, and there will be a service plan provided to you to make sure that is kept to the highest standards. And like I say, the need for the servicing and support of the servicing will be driven a lot and dependent on how well you've selected the installation place, the installation of the system. So if the more protect the system with some sort of GLP, the better it I suppose reduces the servicing risks that you may have. So I would always say picking at the right location for the installation will be very important for the ongoing servicing requirements. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. On the design side of things, I think you talked towards the end there about the SolarEdge designer. I think it was question about how one can access the SolarEdge designer to sort of add CSS-OD to a system design.
Yeah, okay. At this point in time now, it's as we're finding our feet and using the design and working with clients to make sure that it's done as best as possible. We actually have we control that the ability to add systems to a design, an existing design. So you have to if you contact us either through my email here of the people online, if they know Andrea Grosso, who's our design engineer, he can actually then do the initial. And what we'll actually do is we create the design, we add the batteries to it, and we'll send it to you for you to review. We'll also give you the ability then to adjust the number of batteries that you put on that particular site. So you will have some flexibility of adjusting. But at the moment, it's not rolled out as an open access, as it were. It has to be done in consultation with ourselves to help and support. And that it really helps to make sure that no mistakes are made in the early adoption of the technology, which is what we really want to veer against.
And a related question on design, the questioner asked, can you input half-hourly on-site consumption data to aid in designing the optimal battery size? And the questioner said having the option to add this half-hourly data would be really useful for the SolarEdge designer software. I don't know if you have anything to say on that.
Absolutely. We do have the ability on the design. You can add on the half-hour data at this point in time. So if you get that in a standard spreadsheet, we have a converter which will convert it to the appropriate format so that you can actually put it directly into Designer. So for anybody who wants to do that again, either contact myself or Andrea, we can send you the package and you can upload your half-hour data to the system. As it is there, and as it becomes more sophisticated and possibly where you'll have storage on there anyway, and you're adding more storage, the complexity of the half-hour data then becomes much more interesting, because it's half-hour what's taken from grid and half-hour you might have taken from your own storage. That will develop over time. But at this point in time, you have the ability to add in your standard half-hour data that you would get for an existing, either an existing site or for a new site. And then you can add that into the upload that into Designer and make the appropriate designs additions then. Yeah.
Great, thanks. You mentioned the support SolarEdge can provide in installation and commissioning of installations. Can you give us a few more details on that? What sort of support is available?
Hopefully, one thing I did want to demonstrate to you is that the installation is very straightforward, but the commissioning obviously is the part that you want to get right. At this point in time, as the rollout continues, we're providing a guaranteed on-site commissioning support for any system that goes in that has been installed at this point in time. Obviously, this will not be open and forever. The idea is for now. It is something we're learning from, and we'll get an appreciation for the installers and how they work with it and how well they're doing. But what we want to make sure that there is no teething issues when for the first installs as they go ahead, and as time goes on, then we'll regulate what level of support is actually required for us. If we feel then it's every site would benefit from the installation commissioning, then that's what we'll do. SolarEdge do that because we know it's what we want to do. The commissioning will be key to give you the longevity of the system performing at its best. And if that's what's required, that's what we'll do. But certainly for the initial installations, there will be on-site commissioning support.
Super. We've got a couple more minutes. Cyber security. That's obviously a big concern in this interconnected age. Can you give us some more detail on the security features of the CSS-OD in this regard?
Yeah, so in terms of the cybersecurity, all the cybersecurity is really controlled by the SolarEdge One controller. That was that little black box I showed you, and that is the key unit, and that has all the cybersecurity built into that, and it has all the up-to-date requirements that you'd have at the moment in the UK, the PST. I know there's a new one for the Europe, the IC unit, which is coming in September, and we've already met the requirements for that. But what I would say is cybersecurity can be a big. So it's quite frankly, Ben, it is a presentation in itself, going through all the different areas. It really, I mean, and I'll only mix up the terminology, and I'll use it. But there is, quite frankly, and you sometimes you stand up and you lead with your chin. But I would say there's nobody in the industry, no company in the industry that is more au fait with the cybersecurity as SolarEdge is. And for anybody who wants particular details, again, we can provide that to you of what we've done on the systems.
Great. And just a final one, is the CSS-OD available for global distribution? Obviously, we've just been talking about the UK and Europe today, but is it available beyond that?
It's certainly it's available in non-UK locations. I can say that for certain. Actually, it started off as a product did particularly well. Italy had a very good a tariff for storage, usually a very high one, and so we've installed a lot of systems in Italy. And strangely enough, South Africa was the second biggest market that we did have. So that's been very big for us. Now it's pan-European, so we have systems a lot in the Netherlands, so in France as well. Germany. Now, the UK, we have the rollout that's going to happen now from the back end of March. So there is certainly a global aspects to that. But it will probably have to be very localized as well for the local conditions and the local legislative requirements. As I say, obviously, the system here is for G99 for ourselves. Really, what happens when you install or you roll out a system like this is you find your peak markets. And so you do all the certification appropriate for those markets, and then you start to work your way from there to make it more global as an available technology. So if the particular questionnaire has a particular country in mind, again, at the risk of repeating myself, do drop us an email. I can check on that, and even if I have to say no, I might be able to give as well some indication of where it is in the project plan to release the CSS-OD in that particular country.
Thank you very much, Paul. That is it. We're out of time, so we're at the end of the webinar now. So thank you very much for everything there, Paul. That was very interesting and insightful. Recording of the presentation you've seen today and the whole webinar will be emailed out to webinar participants in the next few days, so keep an eye out for that if there's anything you want to go back to. As we saw, also Paul's contact details were on his presentation there, so hopefully you can keep the conversation going with him if you have any other questions about anything that we haven't got to today. So all that remains for me is to offer a huge thanks to SolarEdge for sponsoring this webinar today, and of course to Paul, who's done all the hard work this afternoon. So thank you again, Paul. And thanks to all of you, our audience today, who have tuned in for this webinar. We appreciate your attention and support. And so that is it from me and all the team at Current and PB Tech. Have a very good rest of the day. Thank you and goodbye.